gas, and other mineral resources while embracing a sustainable future through innovation and unity. As we strengthen our regulatory framework, harmonize standards, and advocate for African energy priorities, we not only unlock resources, but we also create a legacy of growth, empowerment, and shared prosperity. To echo the work of Peter Drucker, the best way to predict the future is to create it. Let us come together with unwavering determination to turn Africa's energy potential into a reality that will fuel a brighter future for all. Let us harness our collective knowledge and resources to drive Africa's energy revolution and light the path to a prosperous future. I welcome you once again, ladies and gentlemen, to Lagos, Nigeria, and wish every one of us fruitful deliberation that will shape the future of Africa energy sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Madasu. FNSE is the Executive Commissioner on Development and Production of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Commission, speaking on behalf of the CCE. Let's give them another round of applause. Technical, you have a video to play for me now. Ladies and gentlemen, indulge us for the next 5 minutes and let's share with you a documentary, a short one, of some of the successes of Petroleum. It's 30 years, by the way, we're celebrating as Petroleum this year. And technical, please go ahead.
As a continent rich in petroleum resources, from abundant oil to huge gas reserves. But as the continent's energy demands continue to grow, it is clear that a new era of energy cooperation and innovation is needed. One organization at the forefront of this effort is Petroleum, the organizers of the Sub-Saharan Africa International Petroleum Exhibition and Conference, SAIPEC.
So what we say is, look, it's a lot easier for us as African brothers to learn from each other than being exploited by, some of the multinational companies across Africa. We have experienced it too in Nigeria. So this is what we're telling our African brothers. Look, we have one of the multinational companies that celebrated their 70th anniversary in Nigeria. In my conversation with the oil minister of Namibia, I said, look, if you have projects in Africa, let's say that project is in Namibia, and is a Ghanaian African company that have capacity to support the Namibian company, just the same capacity as a company in Europe or some other continents, we should give priority to the African partnership. We have to deliver the barrels. We have to deliver the oil. We have to deliver the gas. We are not asking to cost standards. We are not asking to be measured on a different scale. But we are saying where Africans can collaborate, we should collaborate for the sake of the continent to speed up know-how. Which, fortunately for us in Nigeria, we're, a bit ahead of our African brothers. And that's why you see us, Petroleum companies, working in these countries and collaborating with them. So you're going to see a lot of that at this SAIPEC. You have opportunities, during this program to see collaborations among African countries. You'll be seeing a lot of technology development. A lot of our members will be exhibiting their technology. And you will even see papers on research and development, how we can ensure Africa is energy independent, in the near future.
SAIPEC was founded to provide a platform for petroleum professionals to come together, share knowledge, and drive business opportunities. Africa's energy landscape is diverse and complex, with many
All right.
countries still rely
All right.
on fuels to meet their energy needs.
I stopped it to play it later. There's a technical hitch. If we're going to lose audio in some part, let's pause it and play it later. In show business, the show must go on, right? Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on from that video now. As I said, we'll find time to play it later. Maybe if we achieve what I have set up with my next speakers before the top of the hour, just before we rise for the exhibition, we cue it again from where it stopped. That's from the Vice Chairman's video. You cue it from there and take it to the end, right? Just before we leave for exhibition. But for now, we would listen to our next speaker. And this next speaker is the CEO of Nigeria's federal government's most efficient agency for enabling business, according to the Presidential Enabling Business Council. Please welcome the Executive Secretary, Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Engineer Felix Omashola Ogbe, FNSE, as he addresses us.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start with my respect to my minister, Senator Henekins Lokogri, and at the same time the chairman of my board council, our host, the president of Petron, Engineer Wole, Busoyan, special advisor to the president, here present, the commission chief executive, NUPRC, country delegates from sister African countries represented here, GCO NNPC Limited, here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be a part of this year's 9th Sub-Saharan African International Petroleum Exhibition and Conference. As this is my first time attending this prestigious event, it is truly an honor to deliver this keynote address to the distinguished gathering. I commend the organizers, Petron, for bringing together key stakeholders to discuss the shape, the future of petroleum industry in the Sub-Saharan. The focus of my address is the Sub-Saharan African Local Content Collaboratory Strategy. It's both relevant and it is crucial. As a global oil and gas continue to evolve, it is imperative for the region to adopt a unified approach in strengthening local content development, advancing industrialization and fostering sustainable economic growth through the continent. Over the years, Sub-Saharan African nations have notable strides in local content development, with countries like Nigeria, Angola, Ghana, and Uganda implementing policies to boost indigenous participation in oil and gas sector. However, fragmented implementation continue to hinder collective progress. A collective strategy among the Sub-Saharan nations will foster and share of better practices and enhance broader participations that can drive the competitiveness of our indigenous players. The key pillar to African collaboration strategy must include the following: harmonization of local content policies, human capital development, investment in infrastructures, provision of funds for local companies and technology transfer. First, any collaboration strategy is dead on arrival if the comprehensive legal framework isn't developed to guide sustainable growth. Hence, there is a need to develop a robust local content framework that positions the region for long-term prosperity. This can be fostered through collaborative efforts and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa and the African Union. In this regard, the African Continent Free Trade Zone Agreement, NAFTA, is one of the critical legal framework that can be leveraged to achieve collaborative local content strategy in Africa. The advent of African Continental Free Trade Zone creates the world's largest free trade area by integrating 1.3 billion people across 54 African countries with the objective of tapping into the combined gross domestic product of over 3 trillion. There has also been a recent trend of breaking down borders on the continent, which has seen countries like Rwanda, Kenya implementing visa-free entry for all African citizens. The importance of this cannot be overstated, as mobility of skilled labor is critical for fostering sustainable development. Secondly, the human capital development is a pivot to the successful implementation of local content. Teeming youth population in Africa provide a unique opportunity for fast-track development. For instance, approximately 60% of African population is currently under the age of 25, while Asia population stands at 25%, while Europe and Asia youth populations are expected to decline by the year 2100. African youth population is expected to rise. A large young workforce can drive economic expansion through increasing productivities and consumption. African youth population presents an opportunity to enhance this demography dividends for accelerated economic growth. Thirdly, is the investment in infrastructure has a significant impact on the economic growth of any nation. For instance, the Dangote refinery and petrochemical company, with an installed capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, will afford Nigeria an opportunity for sourcing petroleum products and fertilizer. We must promote similar projects across the continent and leverage on collaborations to deliver. Also, Kenyan Koza Technology City, Grand Ethiopian Dam, Lekki Free Zone, and other facilities like Samsung FPSO fabrication and integration yard in Lagos present opportunity for collaboration for the movement of goods and services and construction of FPSO and other offshore oil and gas facilities. Nigerian oil and gas industrial parks we are developing in NCDMB across several locations in Nigeria represent one of the ways we are providing infrastructure for the manufacturing of equipment, components and spare parts for several local and regional markets. We are on track to complete major construction works at this site by the end of the year. Let me use this opportunity to invite interested businesses and investors in the area of manufacturing in any of these industrial parks to contact the board for allocation of plots for development. It is hoped that the infrastructures will reduce import dependency, promote inter-African trade and enhance competitiveness of local businesses. Next is the provision of funding. Provision of funding for this grand plan is a key to sustainability. A regional fund or financial framework that provide credit facilities, guarantees, and investment incentive which strengthen indigenous firms. During the 8th African Petroleum Congress and exhibition held in Rwanda, Angola, the African Petroleum Producers Organization, APO, signed a memorandum of understanding with the African Export-Import Bank for the creation of Africa Energy Bank to address the financial challenges of oil and gas products, which my minister has already talked about. I'm happy to announce that SCMB has supported the effort of APO to establish the African Energy Bank from concessional stage to date. With the approval of our minister, we have taken equity investment. When operational, the African Energy Bank will foster the development of major energy projects across Africa. We must collectively support this initiative. Finally, encouraging joint ventures, research and collaboration and technology sharing agreement among African nations will drive the adoption of cutting-edge solutions and indigenous technology advancement in Africa economy. At SCDMB, our collaborations with industry practitioners and various stakeholders group has led us to a remarkable performance in the implementation of 10 years strategic roadmap. We are currently at 56% Nigerian content, with indication pointing that our capacity to achieve the target of 70% Nigerian content by the year 2027. We continue to render support to sister African nations as they develop their unique local content framework. I'm pleased to note that we signed an MOU with the Republic of Senegal last year to this effect. This collaboration agreement with key countries is not just on papers, but seen as a tangible business-to-business partnership in Senegal, Ghana, Uganda, Mozambique, Angola, and other African countries. SCDMB remains committed to facilitating such business-to-business partnership in more countries across Africa. Locally, the board has developed an initiative called Back to Creek. This is a strategic project aimed at revitalizing, launching vocational training and strengthening community-focused initiative. This initiative aligns closely with the mandate of our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to create an enabling environment for businesses to strive. Indeed, on 28 February 2024, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu demonstrated bold leadership and commitment to transforming Nigerian investment climate by signing the executive order aimed at positioning the country as African top destination for petroleum sector investment. In a decisive move, the President directed the reduction of contracting cycle for oil and gas projects from 36 months to a maximum of 6 months. This landmark directive has significantly accelerated project approvals, eliminating bureaucratic bottlenecks and strengthening investment confidence, resulting to swift execution of oil and gas projects. Under his leadership, this incentive has already yielded remarkable success, with over 4 FIDs achieved in the past year alone. In the running of, I will emphasize that all stakeholders have a role to play in the collaboration drive. Government must foster an enabling environment by enacting policies, support regional integration, local content growth. Regulatory must create mechanisms and mutual recognition of standards and certifications. Industrial players must embrace strategy, partnership, knowledge sharing, and joint ventures to drive local content development. Financial institutions should provide tailored financial solutions that enable individuals' participation in large-scale projects. And finally, the academia and research institutes must collaborate on industrial-driven research, innovations, and skills development initiatives. As we deliberate on the future of the petroleum industry in sub-Saharan Africa, let us recognize that sustainable local content development cannot be achieved in isolation. By working together, we can create a formidable and self-reliant petroleum sectors that drive long-term benefits for our economy, businesses, and people. The time to act is now. Let us harness our collective strength, build a strategic alliance, drive from the transformations of African oil and gas industry through an integrated and collaborative local content approach. I look forward to insightful discussion and meaningful engagement throughout this conference. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much, Engineer Felix Omashola Ogbe, FNSE, Executive Secretary, Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board. Yes, please, another round of applause for him. There's a country I'm told here that I didn't mention earlier as well, Namibia. Please, a warm welcome to you, and my apologies for skipping that out earlier. Namibia, are you here? Please give Namibia a round of applause. Thank you so much, Namibia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, we're making good progress. The International Gas Union is the global representative of the gas industry. Nigeria continues to increase her gas utilization, earning admiration from such. And Petroleum is playing their part in that regard. Hence, we'll have this IGU goodwill message that will come on your screen for the next few minutes. It is from the Secretary General of the IGU, Mr. Menalos Yidros. Technical? Let's listen to Mr. Yidros.
Ladies and gentlemen, I come to you today from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, where the IGU is currently holding our executive committee meetings. And I wish I was there with you, as SAIPEC 2025 is a significant event in advancing the regional industry debate on the future of fossil fuels in the global energy mix. Gas has long been fundamental to human progress and global growth in both mature and developing markets. Its abundance, multiple applications, from heat to power to transportation, and role as a key feedstock to industries have enabled economies worldwide to grow and improve people's lives. At the forefront of all this has been the gas industry's relentless focus on innovation, efficiency, reliability, and supply flexibility. Gas can also serve as an immediately available, reliable, and sustainable energy poverty break, allowing hundreds of millions of people across the African continent to have access to clean cooking, power, and clean air. Looking around the world, we see conflicts, inflationary pressures, increases in the cost of capital, geopolitical moves, and significant changes to governments, as we have recently observed. And most importantly, the voices of consumers who, while wanting a more sustainable future, do not necessarily want to pay for it or can afford it. Improvement of their lives, jobs, healthcare, housing, and security are issues that are at the top of their concerns. We need to have tough conversations about the reality of the energy transition and decarbonization, as well as about meeting the current climate targets on the path to net zero. Gas is an enabler of renewable energy and has a direct role in tackling its intermittency and reliability. Of course, we need a more sustainable future, but we must do so justly and orderly. Africa needs access to secure, affordable, reliable, and clean energy today so that it can meet its energy needs while meeting its climate pledges tomorrow. Gas can also be an energy poverty break platform for people who do not have access to modern energy in their everyday lives. Gas goes beyond light and cooking. It can also enable economic growth and prosperity, lifting societies worldwide, including the 56 countries of Africa. Almost 3/4 of Africa's population does not have access to clean cooking facilities, and the cost of premature deaths from air pollution is estimated to be nearly 9% of Africa's GDP. The calls and demands imposed on Africa to decarbonize its energy system, reach net zero, and switch to renewables lack an understanding of the issues faced in Africa. It is currently estimated that $400 billion of investment will be required to increase electricity transmission and distribution in Africa by 2050 alone. Therefore, the decarbonization of Africa's energy system is unlikely to happen without the existence of an energy infrastructure that can, as a minimum, provide electricity across the continent. Today's world leaders and legislators need to understand the role of gas in the planet's sustainable future and its importance in just energy transition. Leveraging natural gas is the most important, or the fundamental first step towards solving Africa's energy crisis and its path towards a more sustainable future. Simply switching from coal to natural gas can result in as much as 50% CO2 emissions reductions in the first 8 months of 2024 alone, after imported almost 10 million metric tons of coal. And if we are to really talk numbers, the quantity of burnt coal resulted in over 26 million tons of CO2 emissions. Your continent holds 13% of the world's natural gas reserves, and deregulating the energy sector, creating public-private partnerships, and adopting legal and regulatory reforms that can play a critical role in mobilizing private capital to help Africa overcome its current energy struggles. We recognize differences in regional energy use across countries and global regions. These differences must be taken into account when designing cross-border energy movements. We see specific policies being developed that, regrettably, do not consider the regional differences, and ones that, ultimately, may negatively impact security of supply. Ladies and gentlemen, we at the IGU are fully committed to working with our members and undertaking the necessary efforts on national, regional, and international levels so that the legislators have an informed, evidence-based view on the often conflicting realities of energy. We are spokesperson of the global gas industry. We have over 140 members in over 80 countries around the world. And our technical and economic progress of the gas industry towards a sustainable global energy system. We are never going to tell Africa what it needs. we are only asking Africa one question: what can we do to help? Thank you.
Reforms are unlocking investment. Not just investment, it is driving economic growth. Beyond, and it's unlocking employment for Nigerians, and it's also positioned to do more of this. In the last 18 months, the subsidy which characterized the economy of Nigeria had been removed, and the funds that Igado spend on subsidy is now being channeled to other sectors of the economy. The President has introduced directive on regulation, including local content, which my brother Echo talked about, and which our minister, not just his own minister, also talked about. There's also been fiscal incentive introduced in the country, not just for gas, but also for oil, and not just for onshore, but also deep water. Which we've not seen for a while in the deep water space, Bonga North, which is about 5 billion. Beyond these, there were other investments last year. There were investments in the area of clean energy investments, also coming from behind of one of the directives that the President issued in the last 18 months. So there have also been some power sector investments, all to deliver good living for Nigerian. In the areas of local content, there was also a directive on local content. Essentially, the intention behind that directive is to ensure that capacity building by members of PETA continue to invest in the other global service providers. One of the things which has been an issue in the recent past is the issue of skilled manpower. Over the past decade, we have witnessed a critical gap in skilled professionals. Many industry experts are either retiring or migrating abroad, creating a severe shortage of experienced engineers, geoscientists, and project managers. So what does this require? There's need for targeted investment in human capital development. There's also an opportunity here to empower women, strategically, and because of the economic imperative it could deliver for Nigeria and indeed Africa. The question before us is not whether Nigeria and of course Africa has the talent, it is whether we are cultivating and retaining it. One of the most underutilized resources in Nigeria's energy sector are the women. Women currently hold 25% of executive roles in Nigeria and just 21% in the energy workforce in Africa. This underrepresentation is not due to lack of capability, but rather a lack of access, sponsorship, and sustained focus on developing this skill base. The essays remain committed to driving initiatives to ensure women with capacity have access to the right opportunities, not just because of diversity matters, but because it's a strategic necessity. Industries that embrace inclusion have been found out to consistently outperform their peers. Therefore, Nigeria and Africa cannot afford to sideline more than half of its population in the sector that will define the future economic future of Africa. Beyond gender, inclusion must also extend to the youth and marginalized community. Nigerian median age, for example, is 18 years. Yet we are losing our young talents to emigration. If we fail to provide them with meaningful opportunity, we risk an irreversible brain drain. Building capacity is the next frontier, and that we should do, and we have the capability to do it. By the way, if we add the years of experience of PETA members, I can guess that it will be close to 1 million years. So we have the capability, we have the expertise. Nigeria is open for business. Nigerians have the vision, the policies are there now, and the determination is there from the president to the minister and to indeed each and every one of us. So Nigeria offers something even more valuable than these people. And what is that we have? We have expertise. The PECA members have played a vital role in our industry growth. As we navigate this period of transformation, I urge you to remain engaged, to invest in our local capacity, and to collaborate with the government and remain so that Nigeria and indeed Africa will remain the premier investment destination. Let us work together to build an energy sector that is innovative, inclusive, and globally competitive. Thank you very much.
For the future. A lot of things have changed with the climate change and all that, and the transition and all that. The policies are changing. PETAN is supporting and shaping these policies, compliance, and creating awareness through our involvement in NCDMB, SON, NERC, and that is the Nigerian Upstream and Nigerian Downstream Regulatory Commission. We will be shifting sustainable supply chain. What has happened now is that we are doing things differently on the supply chain, where we are having collaboration within PETAN through what we have stated as TIG. That's Technical Industry Group. People doing drilling will come together, and people doing pipeline will come together. People doing well services will come together. In such a way, we will scale up. We will assess the technologies available within that space. That's all we are doing as PETAN. We are looking at regional cooperation. That's why you've seen a lot of African countries from Uganda, Mozambique, and others. They're here to see how we can collaborate and to do trans-border transactions instead of going to Europe to get the access. We are doing job now in Equatorial Guinea from Houston or Aberdeen. So we look at certification towards the new normal. There's going to be a huge requirement going forward because of the climate change, environmental regulation, and other regulations that is coming. Some of them are protective, like you've seen Trump recently talking about tariffs and other. That will give protective cover for certain regions not to access certain markets that used to before. So we, on our own, have developed what we call PSQ, PETAN Seal of Quality. So assess the quality of jobs we are able to deliver to our clients in Nigeria and around the world, to standardize whatever we are going to offer. Because that's what we've seen Halliburton, Schlumberger, and all these other companies did in the past. They standardized the jobs they are offering to any region they are practicing. So PETAN is doing that as well, and encouraging our members to get international standard certification, organization certification, the ISO, so that whatever you have done is going to be in compliance with those ISOs. We are doing other certifications like the NCEC, which is Nigerian Content Equipment Certificate, to make sure that those who have capacity are verified for whatever they think they can do, not just the portfolio people jumping in and getting a contract they cannot execute. These are part of what PETAN itself has decided to do more to assure our clients, assure the industry that we will continue supporting and providing all these supportive initiatives. Adopting the technology-driven environment will be critical for operational success. Last 30 years, we adopted the technology. You know, I could remember when I was in the university, we were doing Fortran program. You have a very large computer, which is not as big as this, my phone. Gradually, we are here now. Technology apps are working. But next 30 years, technology will adopt us. That's when we have machine learning, AI, which is actually coming very rapidly to decide what we're going to do.
So what that has happened is that we feel that we should start getting prepared for the adoption of technology. Like the process systems need to be improved. Everything needs to be digitalized so that you will know what you are doing and get easier way to evaluate what you have done. If it cannot be measured, you cannot quantify it. So that's what we have done. Every company in Petan is doing one thing or the other to digitize what they're doing. We've developed, in my own company, we've developed our own software to manage both the store, both the operation, both the maintenance. Everything is in the system. If a client comes in, we mention the equipment we are sending to offshore. We can run down all the maintenance we've done on that equipment for the past 3-4 years on that particular day. Within 2 minutes, you have all that. So less paperwork and well-stored information within that system. We are partnering on technological transfer. We have a lot of OEM from overseas. Sometimes we will send our people to some of those countries to get trained on what they're doing, instead of what was happening before, where you stay and just collect 5% commission. We are not doing that. We say we must participate. That's what NCDMB insists on, that we will participate. Some of Nigerians have been sent to overseas for training. We've trained more than 30 Nigerians in Cambridge, Harvard, and special OEM facilities overseas. That way, we don't need experts again. When the auction of experts, we have generated or created the expert within the country. That's the sustainable way, because when you bring this expert, 2 years they will go. You are going to be exposed. But if you train the Nigerians here, you will retain it for a longer period at the end of the day. We are looking at the industry academic collaboration. Currently, we've set up a professional chair in the University of Port Harcourt just to expand our relationship with the universities. That research, all those research can be marketed within our own industry, or we can influence with area of research they will go to sustain what we are going to be doing going forward. Energy transition is real. However, with Trump coming in, energy transition is not only based on climate change again, it's going to be based on economics. What will happen is that you're going to access the energy you can afford, through which you can afford. A lot of us have solar system in our house. It's not because our generator is giving carbon. It's because it's relatively cheap. When you are not at home, you use the solar system to power your house for cost purposes. And that's what is going to happen. Electric car is all over the world in Western Europe. Electric car is real. It's going to be real because it looks cheaper to run. It looks cheaper to maintain. Only as of today, it's more expensive to acquire. But as technology starts going up, that cost will come down. That's how mobile phone happened. When we were using Note 0 Note, it was extremely expensive. But today it's coming down. Probably it will come down more. That's what will happen in other sorts of energies we are embraced with. We are looking at that as service providers and service companies. This shift on transition, we are also shifting on our offering. Some of our Petan companies are now doing gas business because that's where the government is going. Some of them is even doing, because that's where the world is kind of going as well. We are looking at where the shift is going. We are looking for opportunity, and we will move that direction as Petan. So the last is the public perception and corporate responsibility. You know, there is a lot of agitations within the environment. We must invest in those communities, like I said, training the local people by managing managing that relationship is the key for sustainability. You can't just come like what happened before. You set up your business in an area and they are looking at you driving SUV and they don't have anything to offer you. They will attack you one day. So we look at it, the best way to sustain going forward is to increase our corporate social responsibilities and improve service offering towards the mitigating environmental effects and enhance safety of our business. Everything you do as a company, mostly as a service company, look at the safety. Is the highest component you need to look at. When you have failed on safety, your brand will fail, your revenue will fail, and your customers will run away. Thank you.